Hey everybody, I'm going to make a few videos going over day 2 notes. Day 2 notes will be a little bit harder than just the regular graphing, and so I'm going to try to make some videos. Again guys, if you ever have any specific questions or anything you want me to go over specific, I'm willing to make specific videos to go over certain concepts, and so please feel free to ask a question. Now the first thing I want to talk about is this part right here in the notes. So on the assignment that I'm going to post, you'll have the notes, or I'll attach the notes. And guys, if you ever have an issue opening it up, let me know, and I'll try to make sure I figure what the issue is. But it says the radius of any circle, so if we're looking at this circle over here, connects the center to a point on the circle. In this case, the point is, it says XY here. I'm not going to write that out. But basically, this is what we're saying, is if I want to know what the radius is, I'm really just finding this distance. So I'm finding the distance between the center and a point on the circle. And that's going to be important because we're going to work out some problems here on the next page. So it says if you are only given the center of the circle and a point on the circle, you can write the equation for the circle. So instead of actually giving you a graph, if I gave you the center, which is 0, 1, and then a point on the circle here, I can actually find the equation. Now to do that, I need the radius. And the way I'm going to find the radius is just by using the distance formula. Because remember, the radius is just the distance, so that's what I was saying here. The radius is just the distance between the center and a point on the circle. So if I have the center and a point on the circle, I can use the distance formula to find the radius. So I'm going to do that here. So if I do the distance formula, and I'm actually going to put r instead of d because that's what I'm finding. So the radius will be, and again you're going to use the distance formula like we did in the last unit, x2 minus x1. So I'm going to take, this will be my x2 and that'll be my x1. So negative 2 minus 0 squared, and then y2, so negative 13. Remember, y2 just means the y value of the second point, minus y1 squared. And you can plug it into a calculator, but if you work that out, let's see what we get. We get the square root, we get 4, so this is negative 2 squared, which is 4. This is negative 14 squared, which is, I believe, 196. So 4 and 196 is 200. And the square root of 200. What is the square root of 200? I don't think that has a square root. Sorry, I'm plugging in the calculator here. Yeah, it's the square root of this. So let me make sure again. 4 and 196. So it'd be, if you plug it in, it'll be 10 root 2. So that's what your radius is, okay? Or it's the square root of 100, and that's, or 200, and that's going to be actually, it's going to be actually better to write it like this. You'll see here in a minute. So it's the square root of 200. Now to write the formula, remember the formula, you use the center and the radius. So we're going to use these two. So if you remember, and I'm going to write it over here, the equation for this circle would be x plus 0, but let me actually go back here. Because it's 0, I can just go ahead and put x squared. Like instead of putting x plus 0, we can just put x squared plus y. Now remember, when we put it in the formula, we change the sign, so it's not plus 1, but minus 1. And then what goes here, remember, is, and I'm going to write it a little bit above it, is the radius squared. Now this is the radius, but if I square that, so if I square the square root of 200, remember the square root and the square cancel. So actually what goes here is 200. That's why I said it would be easier to actually write it as the square root of 200, because when I plug it into the formula, remember, r doesn't go here, r squared does. So this would be the equation of the circle for example 7. Okay. So again, the first thing you need to do, we already have the center. To find the radius, we're going to use the distance formula. And I would keep it like written like this. Like if you're plugging in the calculator, it's actually better to just plug in this and figure out what this is. Because basically what is underneath the square root will be what goes here. Because once you square that, it'll get rid of the square root. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to work out number 8. That's your first problem. Now we'll be posting at least two more videos, so you'll only be working out 3 problems tomorrow, but you need to watch each video and then work out the problem that I tell you to work out.